Hi, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Ysis Lorenna. I'm Brazilian. I live in the UK in South Wales. I'm married to a Welshman and together we have two children, James and Isabella. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about Brazilian surnames or last names. I'll tell you a little bit about the origin of the most common Brazilian surnames and also explain why Brazilians usually have two surnames rather than one family name, which is more common here in the UK. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you want to know more about me, I'll leave a few links in the description box below where I explain what I'm doing here in the UK, how I came to live here, how I became fluent in English, and all sorts of things like that. So go to the description box below to see those links and watch those videos. If you're new, I would love it if you could take a minute to just hit the subscribe button. I post videos every week on Mondays and Fridays. So please do subscribe to see those videos. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoy it and share it with your friends. Now let's get straight into the video. So I wanted to start by asking you, what's the most common surname or last name in your country of origin? I'd be very interested to hear your responses, so please comment below. And also, what is the most normal structure for last names? So in Brazil, it's very common to have your mother's and your father's last name together. Two last names that becomes your family name, and then if you do get married in the future, it's very common to drop your mother's name and keep your father's name and add your husband's name at the end of your name. Now, this is a very traditional way of families being formed. Obviously, we know nowadays there are so many more diverse ways in which families are formed. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about where surnames came from in Brazil. And I promise I'm not going to be here forever. It's just a little observation because it then makes sense when I list the top 10 most common Brazilian surnames. So it all came from the Portuguese colonizers who came to Brazil, and they introduced the idea of surnames to make it easier to identify and separate people, because before then there were only indigenous people in Brazil and they didn't really need that separation because they all had individual first names. But when the Portuguese came, they needed to make that separation a bit clear of who was who, and sometimes people had two of the same names. So they started referencing where you lived, where you worked, your profession, who your parents were, all of those things to help identify who you were. So for example, someone named João de Oliveira, the word de in the middle means of, so João de Oliveira is João of Oliveira. Could have been João, the son of Oliveira. So that's how surnames originated in Brazil. And now for the top 10 list. Number one most popular, most common Brazilian surname is Silva. Let me know in the comments below if you know anyone with the surname Silva and if they are Brazilian. Silva means jungle. This name was originally given by the Roman Empire to people who lived in the jungles. And when the Portuguese came to Brazil, they named the people who lived in the countryside Silva. So that's where the name comes from in Brazil. The second most common surname in Brazil is Santos. And Santos is actually the shortened version of Baía de Todos os Santos, which is the Bay of All Saints. And that's a place in Brazil, actually quite close to where I'm from in the northeast of Brazil. So it was a name given to the people who lived in the Bay of All Saints, in Baía de Todos os Santos, and then it's shortened to just Santos. As a word on its own, Santos simply means saints. So the third most popular surname in Brazil is Souza, which is actually my surname, but it's spelled with an S instead of a Z. My name is a variant of the original Souza. And the name Souza is derived from the river Souza in northern Portugal. So that's as much as I know about the surname Souza. I wish I could have found more about the name because it being my family name, I was really interested in it, but I just couldn't find much more about it than that. So if you know more about the surname Souza, let me know in the comments below. Number 4 is Oliveira. It means olive tree, and that is one of my dad's surname. Number 5 is the name Pereira, which sounds a little bit like Oliveira, in that Oliveira means olive tree, Pereira means pear tree. It comes from the town of Pereira in Portugal. And I read online that when Portuguese immigrants went to America, more specifically to Massachusetts, they changed their names to become more Americanized to Perry. So Perry, you might know a few Brazilian Perrys in America that could have been originally Pereiras. Number 6 is the name Lima. That really surprised me because I really didn't think Lima was as popular as the 6th most popular name in Brazil. I know a few Limas in Brazil, but not really as much as I know some of the other names. So Lima, I couldn't really find much about it. There was a lot of uncertainty about the origin of the name Lima. What I could find about it was that it was possibly people who lived near the riverbanks, but there wasn't really anything to back that up. So I really don't know the origin of that name. The only relation I have with the word Lima is that in Portuguese, Lima is sometimes linked to lime or lemons. So I don't know if there's any correlation there. This is really a wild guess. So it's a bit of a mystery for me, that name. Number 7 is the name Carvalho. And this is a really difficult name for English speakers to pronounce. I tried to get my husband to pronounce this name correctly and he just could not get the LHO, the LHO sound. It's really, really difficult. The name Carvalho means oak tree. And again, not much about that online. It just said that it could be people who lived by a conspicuous oak tree, which is very vague. So if you know more about that name, please do put some information in the comments below. Number 8 is the name Ferreira. Ferreira means blacksmith, and it was the name given to people who were blacksmiths. And Ferreira is one of my granddad's names. My mum's dad was Nivaldo Ferreira da Cruz. So that's a really important family name for me as well. I can see lots of my family names on that list. Number 9 is the name Rodrigues. Rodrigues is quite interesting because it's the name given to the son of Rodrigo. According to my research, the S at the end of Rodrigues means of, which is quite interesting. I had no idea that the surname meant the son of Rodrigo. And finally, number 10 is the name Almeida. Almeida is a town in Portugal, and it was the name given to people who were from that town. I'd probably say that I know a lot more Almeidas than I know Limas, but maybe other parts of Brazil have more Limas than where I'm from. I was a little bit disappointed that I couldn't find more information about these names, but I also didn't have much time to prepare. I do feel like I'm more interested in last names now since researching for this video, so I think I'm gonna look into some more of the names and find out more about them, because I just find it fascinating, the history of a last name, especially because a lot of these names come from places, so you can tell a lot about where your heritage is from your last name in Brazil, which I find fascinating. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and comment below telling me some facts about your own last name if you know the origin of your last name, and tell me some common names in your country of origin. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new, and share this video with a friend, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!